There's a cabin for sale right now in Northern California for under $200,000. And before you assume it's tear down on a highway somewhere, it's not. It sits in a forested canyon, below a 14,000-foot snow-capped volcano, on a street that looks like it was lifted straight out of the Swiss Alps. 200 grand. In California. I know, I had to read it twice too. And that's just one of 10 towns I'm about to show you. Real places with real prices, where the mountains look European and the rent doesn't. If you're the kind of person who's been quietly dreaming about a slower, more beautiful life somewhere, do me one small favor and hit subscribe, because I've been mapping these places for months, and this is only the beginning. Number 10, Wrightwood. We're starting 90 minutes from downtown Los Angeles. Yeah, 90 minutes. Wrightwood sits at 6,000 feet in the San Gabriel Mountains, with about 4,500 people, and homes averaging around $430,000 for LA County, with actual snow. Here's the soul of the place. Back in 1905, a guy named Sumner Wright bought this entire valley to plant apple and pear orchards. The apples did fine, but by the 1920s, Angelenos started driving up the canyon for the cool air, and one by one, the orchards turned into little wood shingle cabins. A lot of those original 1930s cabins are still standing along Park Drive. Early Hollywood used to weekend here. Some of them probably still do. Picture a January morning. Snow on the Jeffrey Pines, the smell of wood smoke drifting between the cabins. You walk down to the village grind, order a coffee, and Mount Baden Powell's is sitting in the window like a postcard. Listings right now run roughly $380,000 to $480,000 for a 2 or 3 bedroom cabin. A 1-bedroom condo in Pasadena costs more than that, and you don't get pine trees out the window. And honestly, the Evergreen Cafe, glowing yellow on a snowy night while locals trade ski stories. That's the kind of scene people travel across Europe to see. It's been here since the 1960s, 75 miles from Hollywood Boulevard. But this is just our warm-up, because the next one feels less like California and more like a chapter in a novel. Number 9, Idyllwild. A mile up in the San Jacinto Mountains, wedged between 2 granite spires that genuinely resemble the Eiger and the Munch, sits Idyllwild, about 4,000 people. And get this, the mayor is a golden retriever. I'm not joking. The town actually elects a dog. Long before the highway came in, this was Cahuilla land. For 2,500 years, the Cahuilla people summered here, drawn by the creek and the wild strawberries that grew along it. The whole area used to be called Strawberry Valley. Then, in 1901, a sanatorium opened up here to treat tuberculosis patients because the pine-scented air was, and I'm quoting old medical journals here, considered some of the cleanest on the West Coast. That healing air reputation? It never really left. Walk the village on a Tuesday afternoon. Deer move between the bookshop and the bakery like they own the place. The smell of cedar smoke from somebody's wood stove drifts down the street. A cabin under 450 grand here is realistic, well under the 900,000 plus median of nearby Palm Springs. Most of the new buyers are coming from Orange County, looking for one stoplight, no chain restaurants, and a porch where they can actually hear themselves think. The detail that gets me, though, people still leave wallets on cafe tables and find them an hour later, untouched. That kind of place still exists in Southern California. Barely. But it does. Let's keep climbing. Number 8, Twain Harte. Now here's a town named after 2 American legends, Mark Twain and Bret Harte. And yet most Californians have never heard of it, Twain Harte. About 2,200 people, 3,600 feet up in the Sierra foothills, with a median listing price of around $435,000. It started as a mining camp in the 1850s. Gold rush stuff. Then, in 1924, a developer renamed it for Twain and Harte because both of them had lived and written in this part of the Mother Lode. The name stuck. The post office still bears it today. It might be the only town in America named after 2 authors at once, which, honestly, feels about right for a place this storybook. Imagine a July afternoon. The whole town is walking, not driving, walking, down to Twain Harte Lake for the 4th of July. Kids on bikes, old folks in lawn chairs, fireworks reflected in still alpine water. The Twain Harte drugstore soda fountain has been scooping the same flavors since 1948. The Eprosan house has been pouring drinks since the 1920s. Cabins on Zillow start in the high 200s for a fixer A-frame. A solid two-bedroom in good shape runs $350 to $450, 3 hours from San Francisco. Yosemite an hour away. If you grew up reading Twain on a summer porch, you're going to feel something here. Number 7. Quincy. Up in Plumas County, surrounded by national forest on every side, there's a town of about 1,300 people called Quincy, where the median listings price hovers somewhere between $130,000 and $330,000, depending on how you draw the map. Yeah, it really is that cheap. The town was founded in 1854, gold rush again, as the seat of brand new Plumas County. The crown jewel is the 1921 Plumas County Courthouse, a Beaux-Arts marble palace that locals affectionately call the People's Palace. It looks completely out of scale with the town, like somebody dropped a piece of Vienna into a meadow. Quincy was also home to the Feather River Bulletin, one of the oldest continuously running weekly newspapers in California. Mornings here look like this: coffee at Patty's Thunder Cafe, a stroll past white clapboard storefronts under steep gabled roofs, Mount Huff rising over Haygold Meadows behind the courthouse clock tower. In October, the cottonwoods along Spanish Creek turn this neon, almost electric yellow against the dark pines. It's the color that makes you pull the car over. The catch? It's a real 2.5 hours from any city of size, and high-paying local work is thin. Remote income basically required. But if you've got that, a Sacramento studio's monthly rent is a Quincy. Mortgage. And then some. I'll be honest with you. This is the kind of town I keep thinking about. Number 6. Etna. If Quincy looks like Bavaria, Etna looks like the Engadin Valley in Switzerland. The Marble Mountains rise 8,000 feet on both sides of a perfectly green valley. The Pacific Crest Trail crosses just outside town, and about 700 people live here. Median home list? Around 360,000, with fixers in the 200s. It was founded in 1854 as a place called Rough and Ready, incredible name, then renamed Etna in 1874 after a local flour mill. The valley grew wheat and ran cattle, and in 1881 a brewery opened up to serve the miners passing through. That same brewery is still pouring pints. In the same downtown, 144 years later, pictures a July evening. You're sitting on the porch of Etna Brewing. The sun is setting behind the marbles, those limestone peaks glowing pink. PCT hikers wander in smelling like the trail, ordering the first cold beer they've had in 300 miles. The 1880s storefronts have their original tin ceilings. The floors squeak. Nobody fixes them because nobody wants to. Buyers right now are mostly Bay Area and Oregon transplants chasing land. Modest farmhouses on an acre, under $350, they exist. The trade-off is real, though. You are an hour from the interstate and 3 hours from a major airport. This is the kind of remote where you commit. But the next 4 towns, they're somehow even more beautiful. And in 2 of them, the prices drop again. Quick thing before we keep going. If you've made it this far, you're my people. The next few towns are the ones I genuinely lose sleep over. The kind where you start doing math on your phone at midnight. If you haven't subscribed yet, now's the moment, because the number 1 town on this list, I'm telling you, it doesn't feel like California. It barely feels real. Okay, onward. Number 5, Graeagle. Imagine a row of identical red-roofed white cottages, all built in the same year, curving along the edge of a glassy mill pond, pines behind them. The Sierra Buttes, California's sharpest, most Matterhorn-looking peak, stabbing into the sky just to the south. That's Graeagle. Plumas County, about 700 residents, average home value, $417,000. Here's why it looks so uniform. In 1916, a guy named Arthur Davies and the California Fruit Exchange built this entire village from scratch as a company town for the Graeagle Lumber Company, named after nearby Graeagle Creek. Every cottage got the same red roof, the same white walls, so the mill workers could find their way home in the snow. The mill is long gone, but the rule, the community has lovingly preserved it. Every cottage still matches. After 109 years, a morning here goes like this. Coffee at the Graeagle Mill Store. Paddleboard on the pond. Drive 15 minutes up into the lake's basin, where dozens of glacial lakes hide in granite cirques like secrets. Smaller cottages turn up in the high 200s. Lake Tahoe is an hour away, where the same property runs over 1 million too. The original mill pond is now where kids learn to swim. The same families have been teaching them for 4 generations. That's not nothing. That's almost everything. Number 4, Markleeville. Now we cross into California's least populous county and one of its prettiest, Markleeville in Alpine County. About 210 people. The whole county has fewer residents than a single LA apartment building. The realtor median list price is around $275,000 for genuine alpine real estate, 30 minutes from Tahoe. The story goes back to 1861. A man named Jacob Markley built a toll bridge across the Carson River and put up a saloon. Silver was found in the mountains above. A town called Silver Mountain City boomed, then crashed by 1875, and quiet little Markleeville just kept doing its thing, eventually becoming the county seat almost by default. A day here in late September. You wake up, drive 4 miles to Grover Hot Springs, soak in an alpine meadow ringed by 10,000-foot peaks, then come back to town for a beer at the Cutthroat Saloon inside the 1862 Alpine Hotel. The tin ceiling is original. The aspens outside are turning gold so bright they hurt your eyes. On snowy December nights, the entire town, sometimes all 200 residents, squeezes into one warm room for the annual Christmas potluck. Everyone, the whole town, in one room. I don't know how to explain how rare that is anymore. Number 3, McCloud. Every street in McCloud ends in a view of Mount Shasta. I want you to picture that for a second. Every single street. The 14,179-foot snow-capped cone of California's most Matterhorn-like volcano, sitting at the end of every block, like the town built itself around it, because it kind of did. Founded in 1897 as a company town for the McCloud River Lumber Company. Around 870 people. Cottages routinely under $300,000. Here's the part that gets me. Every home in McCloud was company built, company owned, company painted in the same colors. When the mill finally closed in 1963, the company gave the workers first right to buy their own homes. A lot of them did, and their grandchildren still live there. That's the bones of this place. A town that quietly handed itself to the people who built it. Walk it on a summer evening, rows of white clapboard cottages with matching green trim, all under a cedar canopy. The McCloud Mercantile Hotel, 1897. Inside, the soda fountain has been serving root beer floats on the same marble counter for over a century. Outside, the white pyramid of Shasta turns rose gold at sunset, what mountaineers call alpenglow. The mail carrier knows every dog by name. I'm not romanticizing that, it's just true. Number 2, Dunsmuir. This is the cabin I told you about at the top. Under $200,000, Dunsmuir, Siskiyou County, 1,650 people. Median list price around $304,000. Active Zillow listing starting at $199. It was founded in 1886 as a Southern Pacific Railroad town, named after a Canadian coal baron, Alexander Dunsmuir, who promised the town a fountain if they'd name themselves after him. They agreed. He paid up. And that 1888 fountain still flows today, pouring volcanic spring water from beneath Mount Shasta 24 hours a day in the middle of town. Locals fill jugs at it. Visitors say one sip tastes like the cleanest thing they've ever drunk. The town's official motto is literally, home of the best water on earth. They're not kidding. The town itself is wedged in a deep, forested canyon along the upper Sacramento River, one of the best trout streams in the country. Steep streets climb the canyon walls, lined with restored 1920s craftsman and Victorian cottages. Train trestles arc overhead. The whistle of a freight train still echoes through the gorge at night. The food scene of all things is shockingly good. Cafe Madalena has been Michelin Guide noted, and is a town of 1,600 people, listings under $200,000, in California, with this scenery. I genuinely don't understand why more people aren't moving here. But maybe that's the point. Number 1, June Lake, and here we are. The reason I started making this video in the first place, June Lake has been called the Switzerland of California for over 100 years, not as a slogan, as a fact. About 629 year-round residents. Mono County. A village wrapped around a turquoise glacial lake. Sitting directly at the foot of 10,909-foot Carson Peak. And Carson Peak doesn't just resemble the Matterhorn. It practically copies it. Sheer granite face, snowfield down the gut. Aspen groves at the base. It started in the 1910s as a fishing camp. The Boulder Lodge opened in 1937. June Mountain Ski Area opened in 1961, making it one of the oldest continuously operating ski resorts in the state. And here's the part I love most. The village deliberately, intentionally kept itself small. No traffic light, no chain store, no incorporation. For over a century, June Lake has been protected by its own residents from becoming the next Aspen, the next Park City, the next Vail. It just stayed itself. Walk down the main loop on a September evening. Aspen's flickering gold. The lake so blue it looks photoshopped. Chalet-style frames with steep snow-shed roofs, the smell of pine resin, and somebody's wood stove. You wander into the Tiger Bar, open since 1932, where signed dollar bills from skiers cover every inch of the ceiling. Some are older than your parents. And then, around 6 p.m., something happens that locals call the moment. The sun drops behind Carson Peak, and for about 7 minutes, the entire west wall of the village glows molten gold. People step outside, no matter what they're doing. Phones come out, then go back in their pockets. Nobody really talks. They just watch. Here's the affordability part, because I promised you that. The average home value is around $700,000. That's high, I won't lie to you. But smaller cabins and condos regularly turn up in the $350 to $500 range. The price of a Bay Area studio. For a chalet at the base of California's Matterhorn, in a village that looks like it was airlifted out of the Bernese Oberland. Yosemite's Tioga Pass is 30 minutes south. Mammoth is 20 minutes north. And in between, there's this, a turquoise lake, a ring of 10,000-foot peaks. A village so small you walk everywhere, where Bay Area refugees came for a weekend in 1995 and just never left. Honestly, I'd move here tomorrow. So here's the part where I ask one real thing of you. If even one of these towns made you feel something, wonder, longing, the urge to throw clothes in a duffel bag and just drive, drop the town's name in the comments so I know which one stole your heart. I read every single one. Share this video with the one person actually moved there with. You already know who that is. And the subscribe button? It's right there. You don't need me to tell you what to do with it. I'll see you in the next one. And somewhere out there, the Alpenglow's already starting on Carson Peak. You should see it once. You really should.